New York City is currently experiencing serious problems with poverty and homelessness, with low-income Americans who are just trying to get by. Has the New York City government diverted any public resources or spending away from low-income Americans to accommodate the illegal aliens arriving into the city?
Yes and no. It's not necessarily a reduction in spending, but it is a reduction in space. We have a homeless shelter, for example, that was approved for the North Shore of Staten Island, which was intended on serving a specific population of presumably U.S. citizens who are experiencing homelessness. That shelter is now under consideration for the migrant crisis. And we've seen that happen in numerous locations. Look, we've had a homeless problem in New York. I mean, that's not unique to this city. It's not unique to any city in America. What is unique is the unprecedented way we've adapted ourselves and how quickly we have. I mean, we've never leased hotels en masse to address homelessness in New York. So it's not necessarily a reduction of services. It's more finding the space and capacity to keep both populations in shelters. We had about 60,000 people in our homeless shelters prior to the migrant crisis. Now, when you add the migrants and the New York City homeless, it's somewhere around 100 and something thousand.
You just brought up the leasing of hotels. In June of 2023, city officials said that it cost $385 per night to provide shelter to an illegal alien family unit, meaning New York City was spending almost $8 million a day. By August, it would given the more than 57,000 illegal aliens. President of the city, Mayor Adams, said the cost had ballooned to $9.8 million a day, which would be around $3.6 billion per year. With now it's, I think you said 65,000, the number's up to. How is the city covering these costs?
Well, with tremendous difficulty. Obviously, we have one source of revenue. It's the city's general fund, and if the money comes from the general fund and goes towards this purpose, it cannot be used to other purposes, which sounds pretty basic, but there seems to be some difficulty in understanding that at times. The bigger problem is that these costs have continued to grow over time as the number of people have continued to come in.
I want to focus on, I want to go back to the money comes from the general fund, and I want to focus on the other costs that are being cut. So, you know, the mayor announced possible 15% cut to all agencies. I think I read something about possible overtime for firefighters, cops, sanitation workers, correction officers, all being cut. Can you go into that a little more? Because the focus today's hearing is what this disaster at the border is costing Americans, and specifically New York City residents. Not just New York City residents, but a lot of my constituents out on Long Island go into the city for work. So, you know, when there's less cops around, bad things can happen. So can you please just go into what the costs are for the citizens of New York City?
So this mayor, like many executives who govern cities and agencies, will look to cut essentially the easiest things first. So first to go in this case will be police and fire and sanitation, et cetera, overtime, because that's something we obviously issue on a weekly basis, on a daily basis to different people. The next thing that'll go is some contracted services for supplies, for goods, for things that each agency needs to perform their basic functions. Bigger picture items, though, the mayor hasn't released the list of what they're proposing yet, but in January of this year, facing just some minor budget headwinds, he listed cuts to the city university, cuts to pre-K programs, not filling 10,000 vacancies in the city workforce, cuts to the New York City Housing Authority, and cuts to supportive housing rental assistance programs.
New York state law also I believe, requires once a school-age child is in a school district, are they required to provide education to that child?
Yes.
No. So that's another cost. You know, I'm hearing it from my local superintendents on Long Island. They're getting hundreds of more kids in each school district, and they can't find the teachers, especially the English language learner teachers, to cover them. So there's going to be a huge cost there.